Hello ladies and gents, this is Armerus here, and today I'm doing another HoN guide upon Gemini this time. Now before the latest patch for Gemini, it was arguable whether he could be played as a proper carry, as though his passive increased his damage, it wasn't quite enough to stay on the same carry status as others. However, with the come of the recent patch and the change to his passive, he's now a lot more powerful and when reaching top level, one of the fastest heroes in the game. S2 suggests that Gemini is a level 4.5 difficulty hero. His type is melee agility carry, and particularly useful skills required would be minor micromanagement, knowing when to use your spells, and positioning is key with Gemini. So moving on to the hero's spells, we firstly have Twin Breath. You target a unit or position to release a cone that deals 60, then 120, then 180, then 240 magic damage as it levels up. 15, 30, 45 and then 60 magic damage over 3 seconds after that, much like the searing effect, and 15, 20, 25 and then 30% movement speed slow for 3 seconds. Twin Fangs is his second ability. You target a location to split into two forms that travel side by side 800 units in that direction. The two forms each deal 50, then 80, then 110, then 140 magic damage to enemies they touch, and recombine at the end, dealing 1.25, 1.5, 1.75 or a 2-second stun to nearby enemies. Elemental Force is his third ability, and it makes him a carry in my opinion. Gemini gains bonus stats based upon your attributes, so you get 18, 16, 14 and 12 strength grants 1 armor penetration, 5, then 4, then 3, then 2 agility grants 1 movement speed, 4, then 3, then 2, then 1 intelligence grants 1 cast speed, and fire and ice gain 60% of these bonuses. The main thing is that the less it costs, less strength or agility or intelligence it costs for one of each of those attributes, the better it is. His fourth ability in his ultimate is called Fire and Ice. Activate to split into 2 units, fire and ice. Each unit inherits Gemini's movement speed, 5.5, 7.5, 9.5 magic armor, and have attributes equal to 80, then 90, then 100% of Gemini's. Their health and mana percentage will equal those of Gemini. If either dies, Gemini will perish. The two may recombine into Gemini. The Fire Dog is the main dog and collects items in the courier if they're sent to Gemini, as well as letting off Gemini's auras, and he also gains the XP. The Ice Dog does less damage with its breath, however does a slowing effect. Both have a mini stun of 0.5 seconds. So moving on to the tactics of playing Gemini, the way Gemini builds is for an auto attack carry. However, originally he begins as a magic damage spell hero. This is why his first few levels you put mainly into Twin Breath and Twin Fangs to increase the damage. You want to get 1 point into his Elemental Force somewhere along here, most likely when you get your Steam Boots, so that you can increase your speed as well as an extra small amount. Nevertheless, you want to mainly fluctuate between Twin Breath and Twin Fangs, mainly focusing on Twin Breath because the breath is fast, less obvious, does more damage, and still has a nice slow attached compared to Twin Fangs. You definitely want at least 1 point into Twin Fangs at level 1, as it is excellent as a displace or an escape. At level 6, you want to get a point into your ultimate. Before doing this, you want to use up most of your mana upon harassment. When you get your ultimate, send one of your dogs back to regenerate fully in the well, while hiding the other one quite nicely in the trees or wherever, so they can still get XP. You want to send Ice back, as Fire is the main dog and not only gives Gemini passives, but accepts carry items and is the one that gains XP, as I said before. Once Ice has fully regenerated in well, send him back to Fire with his third ability, which teleports one dog to the other and rejoins together to give Gemini full health and full mana at level 6. Just be careful Fire doesn't get ganked, as he will only have 80% of Gemini's health and no escape. Microing the dogs is not that difficult, despite the amount of Geminis I see not doing it because they're afraid of micro. Not only you can press tab to switch between the two dogs, but you can make the group selections originally created in Warcraft, which are to bind a group/target to a number. This is done by pressing the targets/targets, pressing Control and 1, for example, and then anytime you press 1, it should target that group. I usually have fire bound to 1, ice bound to 2, and fire and ice bound to 3. This means I can quickly switch between them using a combo, which I shall now explain. At low levels, you want to be able to put out Gemini's optimum damage. This is done by being in a fire and ice at first, making sure you've waited about a minute so that when you rejoin it will be off cooldown, and then attack. You want to first hit someone with one of your dog's spells, preferably ice so they get slowed as well, and then rejoin back together. You then put out Gemini's main spell damage upon the target using both breath and fangs, and then return to your fire and ice forms once the mini cooldown is off, putting out all the damage you can with your leftover mana. S2 have tried to counter Gemini by putting a mini cooldown on fire and ice just after you've merged, as well as the original cooldown of 5 seconds. However, you should be able to have enough time to use your spells and for that to come off cooldown anyway. When you get to higher levels, you do not really need to be using fire and ice so much, becoming mainly an auto attack carry. Gemini's Twin Fangs ability actually has a 0.8 second channel time, which does in a good way make it one of the best fate casts in the game. However, it also makes it difficult for him to land his stun, let alone the fact that it does not have the largest hitbox. This is why it is a good idea to try and stun from lack of vision from the enemy, so that they do not see him coming, and lane with a person who has a stun. Think of a support such as Glacius and Empath. When you get to late game, you will have your carry items, which I shall go through in a moment, and these combined with your passive make you one of the fastest heroes in the game, even without boots, which is one of the reasons why Gemini is currently called imbalanced by some, giving him an extra slot basically. You want to use this speed to your advantage, pushing lanes quickly all the way up to towers. Generally, you can use one of your dogs, as they also get the movement speed buffs for farming and moving like this, so that the other one can just be positioned safely / ready to go on a team fight. Fire, which will be the one pushing to get the XP, can then return to ice with his port and go in a team fight or just be safe. It's always important to remember when farming that you can simply use the spells on one of your dogs and also let them tank, and then rejoin without a penalty if the other one is still at the original health. You do, however, have to be careful for enemies, and especially enemies that can mini stun or stun lock you, as you will not be able to rejoin, because it's got quite a long channel time for rejoin. When done effectively though, you can take a large amount of damage on one of your dogs, such as a Flint ultimate, and then join back together, completely negating it. It's always good to remember in situations when you need to displace that you do have more than one displace. The dogs splitting is also a displace, not only Twin Fangs. The dogs also do not count as actual heroes and therefore are not affected by such things as Flux ultimates. So now we're going to move on to the items. So your starter items should be a hatchet, which is standard for a melee carry, an iron buckler or a guardian ring, guardian ring gives you armor and iron would reduce auto attack damage. Guardian ring is probably better, as you will be able to build it into an abyssals eventually, and of course some runes of the blight. If you get a guardian ring as well, you'll be able to get a health potion with that. Your core items, you firstly need steam boots, because you want to give him the extra bonus to his passive at low levels, along with of course the need for boots at low levels for speed. However, when you have your endgame items, you should have no need for boots, as you can just move at almost 522 movement speed without them. Abyssal Skull is a good item on Gemini, because when you're farming you want both the dogs to get lifesteal. Also, you do not want to fill your modifier slot with lifesteal. You could get a support to get the Abyssal Skull, so they have it instead. However, Gemini is quite a fast hero. Unless you're empath, they won't really be able to keep up and give you the lifesteal. The next item that I would recommend getting on Gemini is the Frostburn. This is excellent as it increases your movement speed drastically, not only with its own movement speed increase, but also gives you agility, which will increase it more. The Ice Brand in the Frostburn also adds to your armor penetration because of the strength, and of course gives you the slow. This can later be built into a Dawnbringer. Gemini is an amazing hero with a Brutalizer, as it not only adds to his passive, but lays the path down for him becoming an auto attack carry. An Assassin's Shroud would make things a lot easier for him to get around and get to his target, and means that he does not need to use his Displace to get in, but can escape with it if he needs to. Also, the added auto attack damage bonus is very useful. In a team fight, when he has this and a Brutalizer, he can very quickly nuke down the squishy target from behind while everyone else is worrying about the front, even only part way through the game. The end game items that I would suggest getting on Gemini are firstly a Dawnbringer, as it's an excellent item to have on Gemini, increasing your speed even past Firebrand up to 16% extra, along with of course the extra agility, and the Searing effect is also excellent on Gemini as he hits so fast. This is my favourite attack modifier for Gemini. Shieldbreaker isn't really necessary thanks to his armor penetration, and Symbol of Rage is viable. However, my preference is Dawnbringer mainly for the attack speed and movement speed, and you can get an Abyssal Skull on top of that for the lifesteal. The Assassin's Shroud can be upgraded into a Genjaro, perfect for ganking. The slowing effect along with the Dawnbringer slow makes it almost impossible for the enemies to escape the Gemini's speed. You could get a Rift Shards if you wanted some pure damage from Rift Shards crits. However, you could also go, if you're more risky or more carried, for a Doombringer, if you're that risky. Brutalizer still in place, could be switched out for a Savage Mace if wished, however not really necessary apart from for the damage. I'd like to get one defense item, so either a Shrunken Head is of course very good and very reliable if they've got magic damage. However, if it's mostly physical, Wingbow might be a better option. Remember that when you go into fire and ice, shrunken effects will be removed. Abyssal Skull still in place, not great to rely on support for lifesteal unless support is empath, as she can always be close to you. However, you can replace it with the Kongor Stone. Some serious counters to Gemini would firstly be Prisoner 945 with his Shackle, as it stops him from charging away with his Displace. Flint Beastwood is also quite bad because his mini stuns will stop you from joining back together. The AoE damage effects overall are quite annoying for when you're in split. When you're in two, it will attack both of them, so it kind of removes any bonus you would get from joining back together. And the large damage effects, e.g. Pyro's ultimate, but in the same way it could be an advantage, but you could get one shot hit by it at lower levels. So yeah, weighing up these things. Gemini counters, supports and carries that position themselves out of a fight because he can get to them very quickly. He also counters squishy heroes in general because he can jump on them and quickly take them out. Heroes with no escape, there is no escape from Gemini, and late game counters tanky heroes thanks to his armor penetration. A bit of trivia for you, Gemini, the star sign, is marked by twins. It also apparently births incredibly smart people. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please do like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. I shall have more videos coming out in the future. If I did miss something, then please feel free to put it in the comments and I will read it and be able to add it in, etc. Goodbye.